Door Guys. I'm Davis.
And Vinny.
R. Kelly.
Oh, give me a beat.
And then today we have our special guest, Lewis Taylor.
Count me in, bitches. Count me in.
What's up, Lewis?
Lewis was a member of the Funny Bone staff back at the old club, and
Yes.
I guess here at the new club too, huh?
Yeah. I don't know if you guys do that, but yeah, I spent a
I
little
didn't
time
know
here at the
that.
new club.
I did.
I got a good medicine hat. Remembrance from that's very self-depreciating actually, and we'll touch on that later. I like to build up to my self-depreciation. I don't want to come out of the gate roaring with how shitty I felt that night, but yeah, we'll get to that.
We can't wait to get into those stories, but let's take care of a little business first.
Business.
We just would like everybody, it means a lot to us, nothing to you, but hit that subscribe button. We're on YouTube now. Hit it on whatever you listen to. Hit it. Give us the subscribes. We need them.
We want them.
And second, we got an email. We talk about getting emails all the time, and we got one.
A legit
Hang
email.
on. She told me she was 18.
Wait, I think that's a different email address.
Oh,
Sean.
sorry.
Yeah, that
that's
comes in the form of a warrant.
That's not the doorguyspod@yahoo.com. No, we got an email, and I don't know if we're supposed to say his name or not. What do you think?
Maybe first name?
Yeah, we got an email from Russ. We'll just say that.
Russ, what's shaking?
What's up, Russ? We appreciate the email. You love the podcast and getting caught up, and you had a question for us. You know, something we can actually do. He says that
Answer questions?
Yeah.
that is good.
He says, my wife and I went to a Rich Voss probably about 3 or 4 years ago. We love the opener, but can't remember his name, and would love to see him again if he ever comes back. By chance, do you remember his name? He said he came out and seemed to have an attitude towards performing for a white Nebraska crowd, but he ended up having a great time and was
Who
hilarious.
wouldn't? I have an attitude for a white Nebraska crowd. Getting a little
And just
cinched
so
up
you
just being
know-
with you guys right here. I'm like,
Too many white guys in the room?
right.
Just so you know, Russ, Vinny went back and spent like 3 hours
Lots of research.
looking for this name, but he found it for you.
I did. And so on October 11th of 2018, Rich Voss was here. Nick Allen was the host, and the feature act was Mike Speenberg.
Steenberg or Speenberg?
Speenberg, S-P-E-E-N Berg.
Not familiar with him.
I think I remember him. I think he was a bald guy.
I think so.
Sean,
that
you worked
narrows
that
it down.
show?
I believe so, but
Bald guy?
I don't remember. They all look alike.
Right. Bald guys.
You see one feature, you seen them all?
Could have been Pete Ricketts for all we know.
Yeah.
So yes, Russ. So we believe that's who you were looking for. If that name does not ring a bell, let us know. We can look.
What was
back
that
a
name
little
again?
Further. Mike Speenberg.
Mike Speenberg. I'm going to look him up.
So thanks for the email, Russ. And
Thanks, Russ.
Anybody else that has any questions, we can do some digging for you. Make sure you hit us up.
Thanks for listening, Russ.
Yeah. There's calendars that go, I'm sure you guys obviously know, but the famed booking calendar that Colleen keeps a hard copy of.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
Those go back to the early 90s.
I saw a 98 one when I was digging. I didn't go all the way to the bottom. but
Right,
I
yeah.
saw a 98.
It's a long, scary trip. There are some cats. And what's great is that there's still people that come back even now that, we're at the club in the mid 90s.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's people that are just like, yeah, you're all done here. So close. So close.
Well, you are our first guest that we have ever had from Funny Bone, 1, I guess. This will be
114.
Funny Bone Part 2.
Representing old school, bitches.
Oh, look at that here. Hold on, let me get that.
That's a beautiful sweatshirt. It's beautiful.
There we go.
We've changed to black. We're, more
Overrated. Just
more
till something
corporate
darker
now.
comes along?
Yeah.
Or?
We're more corporate now, so
yeah.
black is slimming and more professional, apparently.
Slimming.
We have polos now. We have to have our collars.
Hey, let me tell you, this was just casual. It only became there was a transition. Like when I first started there, check this out. So I came from a background where, and we'll go into it whenever you guys want to set into that. But I worked at the Omaha Playboy Club, and that's where I got my start in the business in general, overall, the nightclub bar, entertainment-based business.
Was that a strip club or is it just a
No, sir.
club? Period. Just a
Nightclub.
nightclub.
A nightclub, an entertainment club, a restaurant.
Gotcha.
And for people that don't remember that era, it's mid '80s, and it was I'm not going out on a limb at all by saying legit. It was a big fucking deal, and I mean getting picketed on your way into work.
Oh.
I mean, I'm talking about like news that they were doing one here. So what Christy
Oh,
Hefner?
really?
Oh yeah. Oh, it was huge. Like it was.
So it was affiliated with
Yes.
Playboy. So like the
Yes,
Playboy Club
Playboy
in
Enterprises.
Chicago and like
Exactly.
Gotcha. Okay.
Exactly.
Where was
wow.
it at?
At just
120th and L.
there you go, 117th,
Yeah,
but
okay.
close enough. Hey, Tiger. How you
Sean
doing?
was a platinum member.
No, I was,
Singles group for divorced people. Perfect stranger.
actually, I was picketing. I was picketing.
Right?
Yeah, I
They
believe
used to-
that.
They would. We had locker rooms, where we got ready, both guys, girls, not together but separate, and we were required to wear a tux. I mean, everything except for the jacket. So cuffs, cufflinks, full line. Cummerbund, and gold bunny pin and your name tag. And when I had advanced to the point where I was behind the bar, that was a huge deal.
I'm
Huge.
sure.
Very, very strict in how they testing. Oh my God, you have to take a test to be a bartender. Yeah, you're actually giving people mind-altering substances. You may want to know what the hell you're doing, right? Like who are you pouring? What's the proof in there? Like you should know your cocktails. Lost on many people, but
So you don't overserve customers? That's what you're supposed to do?
to do.
or you overserve the ones
Good
that yeah,
information.
right.
Yeah.
So anyway, we go through all that, and so I was used to, like dressing up, right, overdressed basically for most occasions, and after leaving the Playboy Club, instead of coming to the original Funny Bone because that was opening at the time, one of my mentors, a gentleman by the name of Dave Diaz, who actually still lives here in town, plays in a band. Fantastic cat. He and a few other people that were my my mentors and making me understand the dynamic of once you go behind the bar, that is your stage. And so I'm watching. It's entertainment every night, and we had national touring entertainment every night. And not to go too deep into the whole Playboy story because that's a whole nother podcast itself, but by somebody else that I'm sure. We have reunions every now and then, maybe a couple times a year.
Nice.
And there's national reunions as well. And, yes, the answer is yes. I do currently have somewhere in my possession possibly a suit, a bunny suit.
Why didn't you wear that today?
Well, that's for another podcast.
All right, look,
I
next
dress
time you come
appropriately.
back, we're going to talk all about the Playboy Club, and I expect the bunny suit.
Duly noted, sir.
Which before the show, you did say that you worked at the Playboy Club, and I didn't put it together that this was the Playboy Club, and I mean that is
Correct, yeah, Christy
that is a
Hefner-
huge deal, dude.
It is.
Yeah, that's
We
so
pl-
awesome.
I was there for most of its run, kind of like here. I was at the old club, not at the beginning, but not too far thereafter. The gentleman, as I was speaking of, Dave Diaz, he decided, he's like, hey, we have this opportunity. Like, what do you think? And I'm like, well, we knew that the what came after the Playboy Club, it transitioned after the national clubs closed. They raised the franchising fees to the point where it was out of, they had to pull out. Because the small mid-level cities were still thriving. We were doing great. But anyway, it closed down, and so we're, okay, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Dave ended up going to the onset and helped create the setup for the original Funny Bone, which on 114th at Dodge.
really?
Many old schoolers know that. Right, so he, down to the way that the bottles are laid out in the rail. So Playboy has a very, everything. There's nothing that's not thought of.
Right.
The way the bunny heads are facing in the ashtrays. Every single little detail is thought out. You are here creating an experience, and that's what he was hired to do.
Yeah, that's a fucking nightclub right there.
Right.
Yeah, right,
Exactly. And I've been fortunate to work for some that are that detailed, and also fortunate enough to work for some that weren't. And that's okay. It's
Make
all,
you appreciate those other ones.
It's exactly, and you learn a lot from it. But the beauty of working in these places is that you're forming family. All the places, both the ones that were, do a T and the ones that ran it loose. If you're in the right spot, working for the right people, with the right people around you, it's family.
Yes.
It's the reason that you stay. It bonds you beyond. Because you're spending time with these people, and you're in high volume situations, entertainment based situations, and situations where you're having people that are imbibing of mind altering substances. It is what it is, right?
True.
Like,
You're right. No, you're right.
So things are going to happen. Life is going to take its course, and some people are going to be stay on task, and some people are going to color outside the lines, and so you got to bring them back in. So I can sense that just the fact that you guys have been here as long as you have, like you've been here since the beginning, right?
2008. Vinny came in 2004 when it started.
Yep. My wife and I started out here like day one,
Right.
when they were still building the club. Like when we got our applications, there was plywood up as the doors to the front of the club. And
Beautiful.
I grabbed it out of one manila envelope, and when I returned it, I put it in another manila envelope. So it was, this is
Awesome.
the empty ones, this is the filled out ones, and
Right.
then got a call back. So yeah.
And at that point, I had transitioned to running, different clubs and working at different clubs, bartending and managing, and had transferred into the corporate end of it as a sales rep. And I ended up being the sales rep for this club.
Mm-hmm.
And then through my own errors in judgment, I was no longer the regional rep anymore for Jameson, amongst many other fine liquors, which it was a fantastic experience. But yeah, a little tiny, kind of Irish guy drinking too much Jameson at his disposal. What's going to happen? and I think we can all agree that old club, new club, period. Exclamation point. It's, just flat out. Colleen Quinn, the manager of this club, is without a doubt, she's one of the most important mentors and people and cherished persons in my life.
For sure.
Yep.
Yeah,
100%.
100%.
I think we can all say the same thing. And the family thing, we've talked about that a lot on this podcast, that one of the reasons we love this job is we're all, and Colleen calls us misfit toys. We're all just
She's
a little
got
bit
a name
off,
for
and we all kind
everybody.
of
She
fit
does.
together, and
Right.
and she's like a second mom to all of us. I
Yep.
feel like
She's been a mom, a sister,
Absolutely.
Mentor,
mentor.
Yep.
Someone to listen,
Yeah, exactly.
advice giver,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, just somebody that will
wisdom. That's what I was looking for.
wisdom. I've even used the term. She's been, if there, if the universe has such thing as quote unquote angels that are here on this
That's true.
planet, she's been one to me.
Yeah, for sure.
So far beyond and above what a boss or the person that you report to, or however you want to put that. It's so far beyond that, it's not even funny. And I've been really, really blessed to work with a lot of people like that, through the years. But she's top of the pops.
For sure.
So, all right, enough sucking up to Colleen.
She don't listen anyways. We should have told you that before you went on that.
Yeah, right. Well, I've paid my dues.
I'm sure you've been on Colleen's naughty step a time or two.
Oh, 6 or 5 times.
That's not a fun step to be on.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. Ask anybody that's ever thrown up in a club and
very true. That's
been
very
drug in and made to clean up their own puke. Right, I watched. That was a good one. And then he was too wasted to do it one time. The guy that made that error in judgment, and she literally made his friend do it. Like, that's when you've instilled terror in somebody. Like, your buddy throws up, and the lady that's running the club goes, "Oh, you're gonna clean it up,"
Right.
and literally throws a roll of paper towels at the dude.
And then you do it.
Yeah.
And then
don't
he,
question
oh
it.
yeah, oh, he went in and did it. I was like, holy shit! And you still got kicked out. Huh. Ain't that something?
Look at that.
So after the Playboy Club, you went right into Funny Bone?
No. I actually, my friend Dave, he came to the old club and started to set everything up, and then I ended up. He left I don't know, shortly thereafter, and I, in the meantime, had went to. I grew up on the north side of town.
Okay.
And there was a club called Cleopatra's at the time, and it was
Never heard of it.
Sean,
Wait,
you look
wait,
like
wait.
you do remember this club.
I do.
way back in the day. And honestly, I think it'd be great to do a podcast or even really a book about the history of bars in this town, because
That would be awesome.
It's it's not much it's never been much to get a liquor license here. And hey, I got a sister without a felony. Does that count? And I got $900. And so, there's such signature places that have been around, and the fact that the Funny Bone has lasted so long is incredible to me. But it lasts again because of guys like you.
Yeah.
That started out with guys like me and the people that I worked with that were just like it was our side hustles sometimes. I mean, for me, I worked at multiple places at the same time, so my side hustle was like I was so side hustled I was Jamaican. And working at 5 places at once. I would lock up the club, and then I go to work college night for Terry O'Halloran at the 18th Amendment. So
Like that in Living Color bit. You got 15 jobs? Oh, that's nothing. I got 23 jobs.
exactly.
It's a great bit.
And so the fact that it's still here after all this. So, sorry, going back to that's how the train falls off the track, right?
Don't worry. We're never linear either.
No, I do this all the time.
Yes.
Go ahead and skip me.
Blinker,
that
blinker, blinker. I can't remember the guy that did that. Actually, a bit. Like he used to do a whole bit about how he pissed off he used to be about people that leave their blinker on. You go next to him, blinker, 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 blinker.
That sounds like Jim Brewer.
No,
No?
it wasn't a everyday household name.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes those
Mike
were,
Speenberg.
there you go. I knew that cat.
That is who it was.
Yeah.
So going back, okay, Cleopatra's. So back way back when I was a little kid, it was a steakhouse, one of Omaha's steakhouses. It's called Nasser's, 6553 Ames Avenue.
Yeah.
There was a Joe Tess's right across the street. And,
Okay, I know Joe
and
Tess's.
so Benson Golf Course, if you're familiar with where that's at,
Okay.
right? So, yeah, it was a steakhouse. My dad knew Joe Nasser, and so sometimes if he did well, then we got to go out to Nasser's to eat, or Mr. C's, right?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, Mr.
North
C's
Omaha
was
Standard.
shit.
Been to Mr. C's.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah,
But
same.
not Nasser's. That doesn't sound familiar.
That's way bad. That's
Yeah,
way
that building's been a lot of things.
Yep. So Joe Nasser would give me 50 cents, and to go blow out all the candles, and I was probably 7 years old, and so I was like so fascinated with the booths, and I'm like, oh man, what do they sit here and talk about? They business deals, or what do they come up with here? So he's got his girlfriends. He's got a lot of girlfriends. He's got it's one guy with like 4 girls. What's up with that? So learning all about that industry, just watching, and then come to find out, at that point it became different things. Not to go too deep into it, but it was it has an interesting. So it became
He wants to say something, but he doesn't know if he should.
yeah, that's that. Where do I want to go with that? Just a gentleman named Larry King had it for a while, and it was Cleopatra's, and then it was bought by that's a deep, weird patch of Omaha history there, really. But sorry, yes, true. Blinker. So worked there, high end, urban nightclub,
Gotcha.
deeply urban. So BB King, we brought
nice.
in. We used to bring some great
Really?
shows.
That's
The
fucking
Ohio
awesome.
Players,
That is awesome.
like full out 12-inch Angela Davis afros, and the whole like fire.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Fantastic time there. I was there 2.5 years, and that and then that became Big Red Kino, And that was the advent of the touchscreen Keno thing. I'd never seen touchscreens before. This company from Boston came out. I was like, oh, wow. And I did it for a little while, and then I was like, I can't take the Keno thing. It's backwards bingo. This is ridiculous.
Oh, yeah, dude, you're speaking my language. Oh, fuck it makes me
I want a 104-way 77 spot, a penny away. And I'm like, what?
You're saying words, but they make no sense.
Right. The kind of math, like, just stop.
There used to be a door guy that worked here. His name was Jason, and he'll like that I'm telling this story. He would play Keno. We'd get done with the show. We'd go to the bar, and for a good 6 months, he'd be playing Keno. He'd be holding his ticket up, looking at the screen, and I'd come up behind him, I'd grab it, and I'd eat it. And I'd chew it. I'd chew it so much so that you couldn't see the ink on it. That's the reaction he had.
That's beautiful.
So
that's awesome.
Every once in a while, he'll be like, you owe me like $800, dude.
That is like hog wild. That is beautiful.
So I just
we need to do, after this is over, let's go someplace.
Okay, I'll do it. I'll do it.
I just looked up Cleopatra's on Google. And so the last incarnation, it doesn't say when it closed down, but the last incarnation was Cleopatra's soul food buffet.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it went from a nightclub to a soul food buffet.
Yeah.
Well,
it's a long fall.
What? It doesn't give a date?
I'm looking.
Well, and you know, let's.
Was it
I need to bring the train back into the tracks. So a nightclub, 1,000 people on a Friday, Saturday, line out the door. And it's me and one of the half owners and maybe one other guy that were of Caucasian descent, and so that provided some interesting things. But I'm dressing in I'm pimp to the nines.
Yeah,
right.
Right.
That's how you
like
were
the
taught.
wide lapel, the Stacey Adams. I got my Stacey Adams, baby. I'm walking.
Hell
I'm Morris Day. I'm Jerome. I'm like. Holding my Stacey Adams, bitches. And that was where I was at, and then it became Big Red, the first ball drop outside of Peony Park. So Big Red Keno, and I was like, all right, this ain't for me. I got to get out of here. So I went. I did maybe a 3-week stint at a place across where, right across from where the old Funny Bone was. So not the Green Onion. It's hilarious. There's actually a pane of glass in the restaurant, Fernando's.
Oh yeah, sure.
There's a pane of glass that I've shown my son.
I love that place.
Fernando's.
It's delicious.
Yeah.
Oh, it's fantastic.
And they have the little thing with the rice in there, and you find the shit in the bottle of Corona. You know what I'm talking about?
I haven't done that.
No.
Oh my God.
What's in the bottle of Corona?
Well, it's like a
acid, obviously.
It's like they put like a little miniature car and a little miniature sombrero.
And you don't choke on it?
So like the baby cake
Well,
in
you
New
don't
Orleans?
eat it, dude.
Well,
What the
it's
hell?
in the bottle
You
of
don't eat the
Corona.
baby in the baby cake.
It's like a bottle.
It's not like a king cake.
No, it's like kind of like that, but it's a bottle filled with rice and little trinkets on the inside, and you like shake the bottle to find all the trinkets.
Oh yeah. My kids have one of those.
This is time in Mazatlan. This has nothing to do with Omaha whatsoever, does it?
It's at Fernando's.
Wait, this is like a game at the table. So it's like a Cracker Barrel with the golf tee thing?
Exactly.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Like that.
Fair enough.
Oh my God, Lewis.
I don't remember
I
that.
thought you were eating the rice.
So
I thought you were drinking the Corona.
So before it was that, it was a bar called the Savoy, Savoy,
okay.
and it was a pickup joint. Like the wide collar polyester action.
Oh yeah.
And there's still to this day, there is a pane of glass that they didn't take out because it was inordinately, it is like the odd pieces of glass are always the most expensive to replace.
Yeah.
So there's a stained piece of glass right now sitting at, and we're going to go there later. We're going to play Keno, and you're going to eat some tickets and I'm going to have like some acid, and we're all going to see bottles of rice that are going to have babies.
Now we're talking.
Yeah. Night to remember. So, there's a pane of glass that says Savoy still there. Anyway. So I'm there for maybe
In
3
Fernando's.
weeks. Yep, in Fernando's.
To check it
So you
out.
go to Fernando's, you go to your right to the bar side, right? Because that's where it all happens. And you go to the right, and the wall facing the parking lot, all the way to the bottom, at the right, there's a pane of glass. You're welcome for that tidbit.
Little Easter egg.
Yep, that's it. So I was there for about 3 weeks, and I was the only guy that was working there, but I was used to that because Playboy Club is outnumbered.
Yeah.
As we were ended up at the Funny Bone, it was I was like I fell into
Sure.
their
Yeah.
menstrual cycles just like they did. Like, oh, we're all cycling
Like,
this week.
That's what's happening.
My penis hurts.
Ovaries ache. And so I'm like, hey, I'm not long for this spot. This just isn't. It's not not falling in to the right vibe here. So there I am. I'm like, all right, well, what else is around here? I had a sports bar over here, and then over across the street, it was DJ's Dugout for a while. Now it's I believe it's it was anyway, a Mexican joint. It doesn't matter. Across the street, you have a little spot called Bruna's, right? Which then advanced to Divots.
Okay.
Oh, sure.
I only know
Yeah.
it as Divots.
Yep.
Little
I-
side
Divots,
spot,
yep.
right? But the original incarnation was Bruna, and Bill Bruna and his wife were amazing, like larger than life, and physically, figuratively, all like he ran the show. He was old school. He's kind of like I guess like the owner of the Green Onion kind of has that vibe. There's the old school like cocktail lounges. That was his thing. And they did food. And they were the first ones to do the service back and forth between their place and the club.
Mm-hmm.
And so I look at that, and I'm like, all right, I'll stop in. Dave told me good things about it. I stop in, and at that time, I come in to do I fill out my stuff, and I got I'm dressed like I'm going to an interview, baby. I got my Stacey Adams on. I got my
Yeah, that's my favorite.
double-breasted lapel shimmery suit.
You got to
I
walk
walk in,
right?
Right. Lucky I didn't wear a cummerbund. And I walked in, and I'm like, can I get an application? And they're just like, they're like trying to figure out if I'm serious or not. And I'm trying to figure out like what, and I fill out everything. Okay, here you go. And at that time, Colleen was the assistant manager. The manager of the club at that time was Joan Prince.
Okay.
Fantastic lady.
What year about was this? When? What year did
This would have
I
been
guess
about.
I work here. I should know when the Funny Bone opened up.
Well, again, it was already open before this. So
Gotcha.
This was probably 92.
Gotcha. Okay.
I would say, if I'm going to throw out a guess, it's going to be 92. I don't think it was as late as 93, but 92. I'll go with 92. That's my answer, Ted. And
Correct.
and so I fill out the application, and they just got a kick out of the fact that I was that dressed up for this. It's like, what? Who? What? I got Huggy Bear, a Caucasian Huggy Bear coming in, and they're like, well, how do we not? And at that point, I had been there once before, and on Fridays and Saturdays, I'd only been there on a Saturday before.
Sure.
And that was a weird experience in and of itself. But I was like, all right, I'll try this out. And on the weekend, everybody had a tuck shirt, bow tie, and a cummerbund. I'm like, okay.
At the Funny Bone.
Yeah, exactly. Every
Oh,
Friday.
that was uniform on Friday.
that was
Saturday?
uniform.
No
Friday and
shit.
Saturday night, bartenders, doormen, right? Tuck shirt, tie, cummerbund. Like that was just the deal. And so I'm like, okay, like that's no big deal to me.
Yeah.
I've lived that before. Great. And I already got, I already have my different combinations. I got my shimmery gold cummerbund. I got my shimmery burgundy. I got a little tea.
Oh, you got to pick out your own cummerbund.
No, not you
okay.
guys. I'm talking about me. Personally, this is my style. Like this is because all the girls had their own color at the Playboy Club.
Sure.
So sometimes I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna send a little shout out to old Mandy over there. I see you, girl. I see you with that teal. I don't even know what teal is, but you told me this is teal. I got it. I got you. So yeah, I'm thinking I can do this. Right. Great. So there I go.
You know what the uniform is now, according to Davis? It's a polo shirt, sweatpants, and no underwear.
And a hat. I bullied a hat.
Oh, yeah,
I
the
wear a
hat. I forgot about that.
Oh, no. See, that's interesting. No hats. No hats were allowed.
There wasn't hats allowed here for a while, and then after the pandemic, I think there's no rules.
Yeah.
Because we just another door guy just started wearing a hat, and then
Nobody called him out. Basically, nobody laid it down.
And I didn't even
Yeah,
notice
yeah.
it for like a few weeks, and then I was like, wait a minute.
You know what
I'm
that
gonna
gets?
start wearing a hat.
You know what that gets? Flat tire. It's my flat tire move right there. Flat tire.
But because when we first started here, door guys were in polos, and
Yep.
my original one has got an embroidered funny bone, not the pressed on logo. Like
so
we
does
have now.
mine. Yep.
And so is polos, and then servers had to wear black shirts, black pants, and a tie.
And we were supposed to wear black pants.
Yeah.
Eventually, I just started wearing jeans all the time. And
Yeah, we're
nobody
still not
ever
supposed to do that.
You're the
Yeah.
one that broke. Yeah,
Yeah.
You're the one that kind of like broke the seal on that.
And a black slacks.
Well, it's because I'm fat. I go up, I go down,
Yep.
and most of the
Yep,
time my
same.
jeans fit better than my black pants. So I wear the black or the jeans more often.
Am I the only one that still sticks to the fucking dress code? I still wear black pants. I wear my polo.
slacks.
Yeah.
OG right there, baby.
Yeah.
I
Wear
uh,
my black shoes. I make sure my tennis shoes
You know
don't
what
have
you
any other
use
colors.
in the case of that? You use an adjustable belt. Just saying.
Well,
opposed to an unadjustable.
so the belt isn't going to help when the fabric is too tight. you know?
So basically, you're saying it was cutting. I was cinching. You're cinched up. You're
Oh
like
yeah,
cutting up your
dude, it was like
circulation?
creeping, and
Yeah.
you know.
It's hard to tell people to shut the fuck up when your nuts are creeping.
Oh
together.
yeah, exactly.
wear,
When you're like trying to adjust.
You're like, hey, keep it down, guys.
One of my, I'll throw one of these out here. One of my favorite. By the way, the fact that you guys,
I feel like a disgrace right now, actually.
I don't.
I've been wearing Nike, like, they're not sweatpants, but they're like,
Shut
this
the
they're
hell up.
sweatpants.
This is like
I don't care
fabric.
what the kids are calling them. They're sweatpants. Stop.
And no one's ever said anything until one night I walked into the green room and a local comic that has since moved, Jack Comstock, was like, "Are those fucking sweatpants?" This is
Dude.
after years. And I was like, "Shut the fuck up." No one's ever said
You
that
gonna wear your
before.
house slippers and your jammy pants in here? What the fuck?
Davis, that is a lie because
It's
I've
real,
call you out
relaxed.
on that multiple times.
Yeah,
That
you
those
don't-
are
yeah, you
those
don't
are
count.
sweatpants. I don't count.
Clearly not.
No.
All right.
Something to do with adjustable belt.
Well, he doesn't
They're
need a
comfortable.
belt because it's elastic because they're sweatpants.
You know they
They
make
are
pants. They
sweatpants.
make pants that have like you can cinch them up on the inside. They got
Oh, yeah, they do. I have slacks like that. And
Yeah.
to let you know, my slacks are more comfortable than my sweatpants, I'm pretty sure.
All right, blinker. This is to everybody, not just me this time. Blinker. Let's bring it all back onto the freeway, shall we? On ramp. Although this is a funny story that has to do with clothing, so this is how we're going to on ramp back
Perfect.
onto it. For the doorman in the day, right?
I'm wearing
So-
a tuxedo Friday, just so you guys know. This
Pimp it out,
tomorrow.
bitches.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fuck this.
Right. With a hat.
Yeah.
Hey, make it a top hat.
Right, go all out. So one of my favorite funny stories is I would bar manager at night would be bartending. As you know, rush comes in, you're getting hit hard, right? Mm-hmm. Rolling through these tickets. Imagine this. And then suddenly somebody comes up at that point, and I had already started doing the announcing. I was in radio. One of my multiple 5,000 jobs is that I was in radio. So comfortable announcing. Green Onions was always the in song to lead everybody into the show. I don't know if that still is here, but regardless. So I would have, like here's what you got to say. I'm like, all right, I need to throw it together into my announcement, and like I need to have a spiel, so to speak. So at the point when it was getting ready, somebody would just walk in. One of the doormen would walk in and just set the cordless mic in the bar. So picture the club. So at the club at the old place, you wind around ticket booth. There's a sort of like a tunnel. You just go straight back.
Yeah, I would say, just
Right?
like a hallway. Like right when
Hallway,
you walk
yep.
in, you can just see straight
Yep,
back.
hallway goes straight back, and
Yep.
it opens up into the club. Seats, there were some nights, especially when Medicine Hat was at his peak, and a few other people that were, like a Pauly Shore or something big. We'd push it a little bit, We'd be
Right.
probably maybe 3. What are they going to do? Come back and
Yeah.
318 maybe 328.
We've had our
Oh
push
wow,
nights.
really?
Yeah.
I see. So I've been to that club a couple times, and just in my head, like thinking back, I was
Yeah.
way younger. It seemed like it would be way less people than this room fits for sure because it was more compact. It
Very.
appeared
Yes.
in there.
Yes.
Spread out
And it was,
weird.
yeah. You go widthwise, and you have 2 balconies that go up on each side, and a booth similar. Now, one of the big differences is that the bar there was basically just open a curtain, and I could see straight into the stage. I could look right at the stage.
Wasn't it in the back of the room?
The first,
basically?
yeah, it was in the
Yep.
back of the room.
Yep.
And here's the gig for you guys, right? Picture this. Riddle me this, Batman. So they go into this club when they decide, okay, they're like, all right, this is the spot we want. No, wrap your heads around this. I don't know if you probably maybe know, maybe don't. No cold storage
Oh, really?
in back.
What?
No, I'll say it again. No cold back storage. Now, granted, there was no restaurant. The restaurant was attached, right? So it was different
Sure.
ownership. However, beer, right?
Yeah.
Once again, no, zero, not a single, other than behind the bar
Yeah,
coolers.
the bar coolers. Yeah.
It's very European.
Yes. So literally in between, I'm like, how did this ever become like? How at no point did somebody say, "Whoa, we need a beer cooler"?
Yeah.
I was baffled.
That is
But
pretty
crazy.
so
crazy.
what I fell into was the fact that in between shows, like it's fine if it's one night, right? You just
Sure.
somebody comes he comes in strong, a lot of beer, and you just you figure out what sells, what doesn't, so on. It's not a big menu at that time. There wasn't the influx of all the ridiculous brands that there are now. But bottom line is, in between shows on a packed Friday or Saturday night, the doorman would have to come in and bring literally. I would start writing on a bar napkin what I needed, and it would be like 33 cases of Bud Light,
Holy shit!
20 cases of Miller Lite, 7 cases of Bud. There would be 40, 50 cases of beer that you, as doorman, would have to schlep in to me in the hall through the hallway into the back of the bar, and lay them in the bar.
Because where were they being stored? Just like in a closet?
Yep,
No
exactly.
shit.
Yep. And so, just room temperature.
So what did you do? Just throw them on ice right
Yep,
away?
That's exactly it. Yep. We had to ice beer between every single double show.
That's
crazy.
sort of like the hat nights where
Yeah.
they would literally prepare like
Exactly.
50 buckets
50 buckets.
Or they would do
Yep.
bus tubs.
or bus tubs. Yeah,
Like, before we
exactly.
had
Bus
buckets,
tub,
it was bus
buckets.
tubs, and sometimes it was both. Where
Yep.
just full.
Yeah.
Yep. And then, of course, on New Year's Eve, we'd get the little baby swimming pools and put champagne in them and ice all that down. But, yeah.
So there was no
crazy.
food service there. It was all
There was food service,
it
and
was
it came
from
from
a different
exactly.
restaurant?
Yep, exactly.
Gotcha,
So
okay.
they got a percentage of that, and then the servers were from there as well.
Oh, okay.
Right. So
That's
it was,
great. That's
yeah,
So did
crazy.
you have
That's
two
real
servers?
Yeah. There was people that would come
There's
over
a
from next
food
door.
server and a drink
Well,
server.
what they do is they would bring it over. The girls, our girls, would write a ticket, and then we'd submit all the tickets over to Bruna's or to Divots, whichever. And so it was a limited menu.
Sure.
So you soup or wings or mozzarella sticks. And yeah, they'd bring it over and set it on top of a shelf, and everybody, and the person that was in the charge of running the waitresses, kind of so to speak, at that point, she would call out like, "Hey, here you go. This is this. Where's my and that's it. It was all just a shit show of organized chaos,
Yeah.
but it
I'm
all came
sure.
together.
Right.
It all came together. And that, again, those are the kind of experiences when you go through stuff like that together. And there's people that are pissed. I watched girls that would literally, I watched a girl curl up in the corner and cry. I have seen people
In
that
the
were,
showroom?
no, behind, like there was, so you come back to where the bar is and there's a space for there's a place for the waitresses to come and get their drinks out of a window.
Okay.
server station.
Yeah.
Service station, right?
Yeah.
And we're there, like just mashing drinks out. and it's similar to what you guys a little bit have here,
Right.
Yeah.
So they come around, and she just couldn't, she folded. People are pissed; they're not getting what they want, and
I feel like I've seen that here, not as aggressive as just
But
laying on the floor.
she just sat down, and she just sat down and kind of slumped over, and she was just in tears. People that have been hired and then you've worked for a little bit, and suddenly, literally mid-show, folds and just walks
It's a
right
different
out the door.
beast.
Yeah.
We've
Just walks
talked
right
about
on
it
out the
before.
door.
But the chaos isn't the employees. The chaos is the patrons. In my mind, at least here in this club, if there's any chaos, it is the patrons that cause it. And because we have our
most
shit,
definitely, yeah.
we have our stuff in line. We know what we need to do to make it happen.
And you have, people here that are able to train, because like you said, it's a different beast.
Yes, we've
That
talked
second
about it
show,
before, yes.
when you got, a few hundred people that walk in, and it's like the expectation level is different, and consumers aren't necessarily prepared for that.
No.
Right. No.
Especially if
absolutely
they haven't
right.
been to that kind of to the second show where it's like, oof, you got everybody here, and it's like, hey, it's going to take a little bit. Be patient.
We just had
And
300
you gotta
people.
Smile, right. Have an understanding, have an awareness outside of yourself, and I promise, I'll get to you.
Yep.
And some people thrive in that. It's there's no really in between. It's like you either get it or
No,
you
you're
don't.
or swim.
absolutely right.
Yep.
You're
And-
absolutely
and,
right.
Yeah, it's even doormen. I've doormen that were just like,
Yeah, same.
it's like
yeah.
I'm out.
Yeah.
So okay. So one of my favorites is basically somebody comes in and second show, and it's like, and the doormen are always looking for ways to entertain themselves,
Oh yeah.
right? They're always looking for something.
You are
definitely.
not lying, right?
and I don't know if I'll hear about you guys doing this, but it's much different now. But this was so you had to go. So when the hallway ends and it opens up into the club, right? That is where the doorman would stand to take the ticket.
Yep.
To tell and there'd be like there wasn't the waitress that would lead you; it was the doorman.
Yes.
So one person would be the ticket taker and have a little chart and lay it out, and then they would say, okay, well, hey, take these people to 13, table 13, whatever the case may be. Well, naturally, people that wouldn't have been there before, they had to go back down that hallway to access the restrooms.
Mm-hmm.
So one night I come out
Oh, that's right.
and I got the mic and I'm getting ready to start the show, and I can hear like they're getting ready to start the lead in like good evening, ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Omaha Funny Bone. And I look down and I see a good, there you go. Yeah, baby. Oh, we found it. Oh, damn. There are some comedians, if you play that for, they'll be like, oh, fucking Lewis is going to do like 13-minute intro. Still the same, like, oh.
I feel like that's even different. Not to derail you.
No. I noticed it.
Is
It's quick.
Nobody fucking listens to anything that's going on back there.
You need,
and we have.
you
and
need to
it's
bring
just
a little
kinda
something
quit.
to it.
It's
Like I
just-
would literally have a cordless mic. I'd be walking around. I'd be walking around.
You know, dude,
If
that engages the crowd more.
Right.
You know.
but
right.
if we did
I'm walking
that,
up to the
there's only
table.
like me, and I think I might be the only person that would be comfortable doing that. I don't know if you would.
I mean,
don't
if
think
you
Billy
give me
would.
a little bit of this, a little bit of whiskey, I'll walk around this motherfucker and talk to people.
Next thing you know, J Medicine. By the way, this bottle of Jack and this shot of Jack are here in memory of one of the more unique individuals I've ever met in my life, and I've met a few. Gent Monk,
Yep.
also known professionally as J Medicine Hat. So, gentlemen, I'll take a right in the middle of the story, of course. I'll take a quick break to say
I'll cheers up to that.
Fuck yeah.
here's to the man, the man, the myth, the legend.
The fucking king.
Yep.
That's right.
Cheers.
Cheers.
So I walk out to start the show. And a lot of times I'm trying to remember, okay, what has this guy been on, right? I got to remember the comic. I got to remember the lead in. What do you want me to say about you?
Mm-hmm.
This, that, the other. All the while in back, there's only one bartender back there now, and they're getting their asses kicked with another couple hundred tickets. And I look out, and there's probably got to be at least a dozen shoes sitting against the wall.
Wait, what?
Right where
Shoes?
shoes, right where you come out. A variety of shoes. There's a tennis shoe. There's a boot. There's like a workman's boot. There's like a high heel.
Are they in pairs
There's
or
like-
just like random? No.
No.
What
Single shoes, all of which are of the left foot variety. And I'm like, what?
This is why.
And so, of
We
course,
work
when
here.
people that have been there before and they hear, like the show's, kind of, okay, it's getting ready to start.
Yeah.
And so they're hustling out of the bathroom. And I see, and they're all hobbling. I'm like, what the? And nobody has a left shoe on. And so the doorman had took it upon themselves to entertain themselves. And hey, I totally messed up the opening of the show. I couldn't keep a straight face. I couldn't. It's got to be the one that sticks out. They had decided that it's like, because people would always come up, they'd be like, oh, how do I get, are you good? Do you remember me? Do I need a ticket to get back into the showroom?
Yeah,
Same-
we get that all the
same
time.
thing here.
Yeah.
Right. And
I
so
know
they're
it's
like, hey,
coming,
watch
and I
this.
love
I want to
this,
see
I
how
love
far we
this,
can
I
take
love
this. And they're like, well, yeah, we
Leave
just
your
need your left
left
shoe. And so guys, girls, it didn't matter. Girls hobbling in on her 5-inch stiletto because it's date night. And she's hobbling like, she's like, tickety-tock and tickety-tock. And I'm like, you've been in the bathroom sitting in the stall this whole time with one stiletto on. Thinking like that makes sense to me. Like that's not odd, right?
This
What?
is the greatest gift you could have
Yes.
ever given me.
Yes.
You're gonna come in here next time. There's gonna be a lot of left shoes. up against
I'm
this
bringing
wall.
an extra shoe. in my
You might
pocket,
want
is what I
to.
do. I'm gonna wear my footy pajamas.
Oh, that's so good.
And
That's so good.
they got a dozen shoes sitting there, and these people are rushing back in,
good.
and everybody they're trying so hard to keep a straight face, and I'm trying to start the show, and nothing's happening because I'm just like, oh my God, why are they all getting their shoes back from you? And yeah, that was one of the tip top
that's so good.
moments of Dorman history right there.
That's
Lewis, when I
awesome.
started in 2008, this was the song.
For the intro. Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That one's still on the computer.
What is? I'm pretty good at naming this tune, but I'm.
This is like
wait.
Ocean's 11.
Nope,
song.
nope.
Kill Bill.
Kill Bill. It's
Oh,
from the Kill Bill
yeah,
soundtrack.
Okay.
Ah. So let me ask, because Green Onions, we had a thing where we played a few songs way too much before showtime that were just like, oh God, I can't. Like it ruined the band for me. But Green Onions, I have a love-hate. With Medicine Hat, his songs, I can't listen to George Thorogood anymore without being like, I can't.
See, I told you. We went through a list. John had George Thorogood on there. I was like,
Yep.
I've never played that one, but it was on his original CD
Yeah.
when he brought it in and said, I could use any of these songs.
Majority of the time, it was Justin Bieber and Lady Gaga.
Yeah, he hadn't transitioned.
Most of the
to
time, it
any
was
of
So,
it.
Lady
he,
Gaga.
he did a lot of Aretha Franklin. And,
But
Wow.
more so Bieber.
well, maybe
and
by the time
Gaga.
you got
Yeah,
working
exactly.
his shows, but
So, as he was full on Jay Medicine Hat
oh yeah,
when he got here. I remember him as Gent Monk, the comedian.
just doing stand up.
Just Gent Monk.
Huh?
Coming in, I still have
Did he do
his
that
shirt.
at the old club?
Oh yeah.
He did Gent Monk just
Really?
stand up at the old
Yeah.
club.
He had no the interesting thing about him is his demons were out in full display.
Oh yeah.
He never really, he got to a point where he never really hid, where he was at,
Just
what
being
was
an
going
honest
on.
Dude, yeah.
Yep.
But at the same time, if you were around him a lot, you're having to deal with that.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
And, great guy and all, like you knew his heart was gold, but you still had to deal with that as the person that is in charge of making sure. So basically so one of my many jobs was making sure that, I started the shows when I was working. I managed the bar, the numbers, did the orders, all that, met with the salespeople, bartended, obviously, made choices on. I'm very proud to say that one of my signature drinks is still on the list to this day.
Oh,
Oh,
really?
really?
You
Which
are the
one?
only reason that Blue Maui is still in existence.
Oh,
The
really?
Tiny Bowl. Yep. Yep.
My wife loves that. That's her favorite drink. Whenever she comes here, she always gets a Tidy Bowl.
You're sucking up to
Let
it.
her know.
No, for sure. That's what she always. That's
Really?
always been her drink of choice
No
when
shit.
she's here. Yeah, it's
That's
the Tidy
crazy.
Bowl.
You tell your wife you're welcome.
Next time we're around, I'll be like, you better go say thank you to Lewis.
Yeah.
So what did the managers do, Lewis? It seemed like you were doing everything.
Well, Colleen and Joan, and then Colleen took over running the whole show, and there was a person that took care of all the waitresses and stuff. It wasn't.
Gotcha. Yeah.
It was we fit a lot of people into a short amount of time,
Sure.
and we jammed it in, and it just became our normal. So so then I also got to the point where it's like, thankfully, Colleen and Joan trusted me to be the person that I said, hey, I'll go pick up liquor. We don't have to pay for that, or give me a little love.
Yeah.
And then nobody wants to get
Nothing
up at
comes for
6
free,
or
right?
7 in the morning and go do the comic stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was my gig every week.
Radio, airport,
And-
things like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Airport runs, all that stuff. And in case you haven't noticed, I have a challenge with this concept called time.
Yeah, we noticed.
So,
And not just from tonight. We've seen it before in the past.
right, yeah. I think I got my last show. I got here right. I still was here for the whole show.
There you go.
Saying I got here when he came
You
on
were here.
stage. To get clear. And
Yeah. So how did that work when you had to get the comics and
it
be
worked.
them on
it
time
worked.
to radio
It
and
worked.
shit?
It worked. We did all right.
Right enough.
And we had TV too, so it's like
yeah,
you can be
yeah.
late for TV. And this was before Todd and Tyler, so I'm talking Diver Dan Doomey and Otis 12.
Okay.
I'm talking
Oh,
about
Otis 12
talking-
rings a bell,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
old
Otis
school.
12
I
is-
don't know.
old
Otis
school
12
is a
totally
legend.
ring-
He is
The two
long
of
gone.
those, he's still isn't he
No,
still in town?
he passed away.
Yeah.
Diver Dan Doomey did.
No,
Or
no,
Otis
Otis
12.
12.
Otis.
Really,
Yes.
dude.
Probably 15 plus years ago.
I'm gonna have to.
wanna
You know what?
choose
You Google mastered that song. Do me a solid and just kind of like roll that one in there. I feel like it hasn't been that long.
Google
But
Otis
my
12.
yeah, if you would. So Flow and O. So there was a lot of different. We did lots of radio stations. It wasn't all just honed in on Todd and Tyler.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and back then, I mean, it wasn't.
There wasn't
that
time.
internet either, so
Right.
it was all fucking
radio.
radio.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and
radio
they
was
did-
that was the shit.
But when they went to those radios, they didn't sit there for 3 hours or 2 hours, did they? I mean, it was like a segment, like a
Nope.
20 minutes here.
Nope,
and
we
stuff
did.
like that.
If we had a country artist, we go do WOW radio.
And how long would they go up to there?
You know,
Because a lot of those played music. It wasn't like Todd and Tyler where they
exactly.
sat and
That
talked.
is
In fact,
true.
20, 25
all
minutes.
of them played music.
Yeah.
We all
Yeah.
every now and then we do a KFAB one if we had somebody that kind of worked that in there, but all of them played music. So we just had breaks. That was it. Sweet 90, a lot of Sweet 98, like like a Jamie Foxx, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I funny on the radio on Todd and Tyler today, this very day,
Mm-hmm.
call in from Gary Menker.
Yeah, I heard
And
it.
it made me, right, the Menker. And I'm thinking to myself, that son of a bitch broke my comedy cherry. My hymen was pierced
It was
by
the Menker.
Gary
Menker.
Menke.
The
Oh,
Menker.
Shit.
Also a legend on this podcast.
Yes.
Shout out my homie, the Menker. Menker Bucks,
We'll
right?
get him on here one of these
That
days.
cat could,
Menker
he'd be
Bucks,
like,
yeah.
"Oh, I'll get a pizza." Yeah, I got, and
Oh,
I'm like,
yeah.
"How did you get a pizza for nothing?" He'd be like, "Oh, I got it taken care of." I'm like, "Damn, dude."
He treated those fucking comp tickets like
Comp
they
ticket-
were
Yeah.
gold.
They were money.
And if you didn't
ran
think
out
they
of
were
gas.
gold, he'd tell you why they were gold.
And he'd show you.
Yeah.
I ran out of gas. He goes down to the Amoco station and gets not just the gas, but the gas can.
with passes.
Fucking
Yep,
passes.
with passes. I've been in a drive-through windows, and he rocks it out
that's
there.
the famous story we
He's-
tell is
Austin told it.
Nick Allen.
Oh, was it Nick?
Yeah, Nick Allen went to a Burger King with him, and
Oh,
he was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
"Watch this,
Right.
I'll get
Yep.
food." And the kid comes and he tries to give him the tickets, and the kid's like, "You were here earlier today, Mister. I can't do this again." I can go somewhere else.
You can't hit that same fucking
I know,
Burger
right?
King
Come
twice
on,
in one
Gary.
day. Tighten it up, Maker. And I want to say, I believe the headliner actually that if it wasn't that week, it was right. The first impression, the first whoa, was Tater,
Oh, really? Oh,
Mr. Ron White.
Nice.
oh shit.
Yeah. And this was, this was when he's always been the Texas storyteller, for sure. Like
Right.
that was his thing. And he just, there's not a lot different in terms of like what he was putting out for material. It was a lot of the same style, delivery, all that. But it's but yeah, it was definitely before he
Before he got big.
way before. Yeah. There's just and the whole like drinking, partying persona. Some people put it out there and it's like, oh, that's part of your gig, your bit, your style, and some live it.
Yeah.
Right.
He
He
lived
lives it.
Mr.
Yeah.
Tater lives it. Tater lives it deeply.
I still remember the Ron White story that Colleen told
Oh yeah.
about where he didn't show up for the show.
Oh,
and
yeah.
She
Oh,
went to the
yeah.
hotel.
This is
She
my
goes,
favorite.
"We gonna fuck?"
So here's that story. I was present and accounted for. So my first time going to get the comedian is Ron White.
Oh, that was your first
And
pickup
this
for
exact
the
story is what, speaking of, here it goes. So I go, and at that point, she had not given me a key to the comic condo at that point yet, right? So my first week, just go up there and
Right.
knock, they'll let you
Right.
in,
Yep.
knock harder. And, so I'm knocking, nobody's answering. I'm starting to get a little antsy, maybe I'm 5 minutes late, whatever. I'm like, hey, we need to get going. Hey, Ron, nobody answer. I call. I'm like, Colleen, I don't know what to do. Like, he's not opening the door. So she tries to call him. Nobody, nothing, right? She doesn't live that far from the club. So next thing I know, she's like, I'll be there. This is, probably 6:30, 6:45. And legend has it that Mr. White may or may not have been asked to leave the bar across the street for actually standing on the bar at some point. That doesn't go over well in sports bars when you try to take snaps on the bar after a little more Crown Royal than maybe he should have had. So she shows up. She has the key, right?
Mm-hmm.
She immediately is like, here's the extra key for this. You have it. Like, this won't happen again. I'm like, okay. I'm like, oh shit. I'm a little like,
Right.
What's
she
gonna
opens
happen?
the door. She goes, you go through the living room. You turn to the right, goes down the hallway. Just, Ron, let's go. You got radio, Ron. Finally, she just opens up the door. And, there's Tater all in his wondrous self.
His birthday suit.
No, he's got some tidy whities on. And he's like, he's feeling it. Like, he is straight deeply hungover. I probably still drunk. And he gets up and he starts putting on clothes, but he forgets to put on the pants first. But he's putting on his cowboy boots. And so he's hopping on one leg, trying to get one cowboy boot on. He falls off balance. And at that point, we had exited into the hallway, but we're looking straight at, it's like, so you can see straight into the room. Like, she wants to make sure he's like, let's go. He topples to the wall and just leans across it, regains his balance, but doesn't stand up. He just leans against the wall and looks out into the hallway and sees us sitting there and says, Carl, we got time to fuck. And I was like, holy shit. Is this like every week I'm going to have to deal with this? So I became the guy that was like, hey, allow them to have fun, but
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
they got to show up. They got to be
Places
there.
to be.
And yeah, there's numerous times where I was decent at that. Or if, there were some acts that needed to go, hang someplace where they were comfortable, but not, like, hey, like when I say we're going, like, we're going.
Yeah.
Which was good in some cases, and then there's there's the Pauly Shores. There's the that were like, you know what, we're not going, Lewis. We're just going to close this bar. And what I mean by that is we're going to close this bar, like with us in it, and we're just going to be here for like the next 3 or 4 hours. So just get used to it, buddy. And come to find out, he was right. He was right. He was like, well, then what do you know? You got the owner to do exactly that. Who are all these girls that are walking in right now? Where do they come from suddenly? Buddy. And so yeah, that was my first. That was out of the gate with Ron White, and
I've heard that story many times, but it's a pleasure to hear it from someone who was there. Because Colleen's never told me that story.
One of the three people that were standing there. Well, she's just like, she was so.
Oh, I can see her right
she
now.
was pissed.
She was pissed. She was hot. Hot.
She gets flustered at times. I imagine she was.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
mad.
Yeah, it was a combination of being like, you're caught off guard, but you're pissed. And,
Right.
And it wasn't even that time. One time, Ron and I had a Jeep at that point as well, right? Summertime, open air. Ron had his druthers the night before. Shocker. And I don't know if this was the night that the police called Colleen to come get him. He couldn't find his way to the he couldn't figure out the where the condo was, even though it was only like 5 blocks away.
Yeah.
But he could find his way to the club, and there he was, like taking a nap next to the door of the club when the security came and said, Who are you? What are you doing? Why are you here? And eventually they figured out to call Colleen to come get him. And I believe that was so the next day, he didn't have it. He wasn't able to keep his control. Right. He may have had a little. I had to pull over the Jeep.
Gotcha.
So that he could empty a little bit of his stomach. And just a little bit got on the shirt, right? And he's like, he's upset at the fact we're going to the radio station, and I'm like, well, there's no camera there, they're not going to see it. And he's like, he's pissed. And this was like out of a movie that this happens. He literally sees a garage sale as we are driving down the street right there. I'm like, the odds of him being trash hungover, just threw up and is like,
And that they have his size.
spots a garage sale, pull, take a left. And I'm like, okay, I'm just like, I take a left, I go in, he gets out, finds a shirt that fits him,
Which is insane.
puts it on the spot, hands the lady a 10 spot for a shirt that was like 50 cents.
Yeah.
And we drive off. And I was like, what?
Yeah, you're living right.
What?
Are you fucking kidding me?
That's crazy.
And he could, and he rolled it like it was just like all good. Like it's just like, right. It was just like, of course it happened that way.
That's how I planned it.
And to further go down his geez, I've partied with him even in the last, now that he rolls in his own bus.
Tour bus, yeah.
Yeah, I caught up with him in Kansas City, maybe 5 years ago.
Nice.
It's been a while now. But yeah, I was like, wow, you haven't missed a beat. You're just taking it to a whole nother
Well, yeah,
level.
you're not going to stop when you puke on yourself and then there's a garage sale just happened on
Right,
the way
you're like,
in
this
here.
is all.
You know what? I'm supposed to be doing this shit.
Just keep turning the cards,
just
baby.
that,
Just keep turning the cards. I got
out.
this one.
Shit's going to work out.
Yeah. That, blowjobs in the parking lot for $5. That, my friend, is an entertainment value. I go to the airport. I pick him up, and I'm bringing him to the hotel. At that point, he was staying in a hotel, and it's the same hotel that Mark Lundholm is at.
I was hoping to get to this
And
story.
so Mark
Love this
Lundholm
one.
is, man, super high energy, right? Like,
Yep.
man, he's just like, hey, brother, how you doing? You know, but you know, he's went through all this stuff, and he does his AA shows, you know, very open about his trials, tribulations, and his recovery. And here you go. I'm like, oh, it didn't even cross my mind, and it surely didn't cross my mind that they would both be in the hotel lobby at the exact same moment. One that just comes down to the lobby to, I don't know what he was doing at that point, but he just comes down. There was something there, and I'm bringing Ron in to check in. He's checking in. Oh, Ron just steps back for a minute, and, oh, you're that feller that's all AA and recovery from all the dependency drugs. And I'm like, he's like, yeah. He's all excited. Like, he's the first time he's ever met Ron. And he'd heard so many stories about him. Ron was probably he's the comics comic. Before he got big, he was the comics. Every comic knew who Ron White was.
Oh, really?
But the public didn't. Right?
Yeah.
Had no idea. But
I'm
every
trying to
comic,
think, but yeah, there's guys
every
like that
comic,
now, yeah.
every
We have lots of guys
town,
like
that.
every
Lots of guys.
town had a
Yep.
Ron White story, right?
Who are
Every
we talking
city.
about again?
Exactly. So he walks up. He's all excited to me. You're that feller that's all about temperance and moderation. And he smiled a little bit and shook his hand and said, well, I'm just happy to meet you, but I'll tell you right now, we ain't going to be fucking seeing much of each other at all this week. Checked in and walked the fuck up to his room, and I'm like, damn, that was so well put and so harsh at the same time.
And honest and
Yeah, just that's
We
what I was
ain't going to
thinking,
be
honest.
seeing much of each other. And you know what? He was correct.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
was.
I'm sure he was.
Yeah, I bet he was.
What's great is we had Mark Lindholm here. I don't know if it wasn't during the pandemic or it was right before, but you came up here and I got to stand there and watch you and him recount that story together. And it was just great to see both of you with the same reactions and the
Right, because he's remembering it from his point of view.
Exactly,
Right? I'm so
yeah.
excited to see Ron White, you know.
yeah, and he was he's like, oh, I was so excited to see him, and then he said that, and I was just like, oh,
Yep, you just saw it was like it was like the flattest of the flat tires.
yeah.
I don't remember when Mark went. I was just like, oh. I was like, I gotta go. Yeah, there's so there's and then there's so many comics that really didn't get their like they were big in their time, but didn't didn't sort of fold over into once they're Comedy Central. And now, how many platforms that somebody can put their stuff out there and produce their own stuff? They don't need to have a deal or a label.
You've been working, been around, the Funny Bone for many years. That
Yeah.
you've seen. They talk about like comedy booms and comedy lulls where, it's not as popular as it is. And right now, for a while, we've been going through a comedy boom where it is kind of because of all the platforms and everything, it's out there. And
But is it really comedy? I mean,
I
we're getting
true.
a lot of
that is true.
a lot of YouTube celebrities that
Yes.
think they're funny.
Pseudo celebrities, right? They
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
Yes, and I would agree. They come
It's
in
a
here
plus
and
and
it's
a
like
minus, right.
What to expect. And even
Right.
their fans, they come in and they don't, because this on stage is totally different than any YouTube video they've ever done.
Exactly.
And
And
so
and,
it's
and
always
so but
interesting
you
to
find
see
that the
that.
really true comedians, the ones that it comes out of their pores, they thrive.
Yes.
In this
the club.
atmosphere.
Yes.
Yep.
It all comes back
Absolutely.
to the club from them. It all comes back to that live interaction, that buzz they get. And it's hard to replace that. And that's why
It
a lot
is.
of them turn to, just like many people that are in the entertainment business, that's why they turn to other things. They get done and it's,
Right.
once they're done and everybody's moved on with their evening. There's not a lot of single women that come to a comedy club.
No.
No.
It's mostly couples.
Yep.
So, but amazingly enough, it still takes place. But generally a lot of nights they're just going back to a hotel room by themselves.
Right.
And they're coming down off that adrenaline, right? They're like feeding that
high,
ego,
yes.
man. They're down that high. They're like whoop whoop, and so it can be a dark place to go to.
Absolutely.
And I think, you know, a great example of that in you know, the man, the myth, the legend. I mean, Medicine Hat was, had a lot of demons.
Yeah.
You know, and wasn't shy about saying, hey, I got a lot of demons, you know, and this is, sometimes I chase them down with this, and sometimes I push them out with that, and sometimes I just get on the demon's tail and go for a ride. And, you know, that's all.
And he had fun doing it.
Yeah,
the whole
there's
time.
a while, man. There's a
Oh,
while
yeah.
when I did. Here's a good one. So, I'll throw you out a Gent Monk story. So this is pre-Medicine Hat, right? So he paid someone to teach him the meditation. At that point, we had somebody that was coming into the club named Gary Conrad, and Gary Conrad was from the South, had that Southern drawl to him, and he was that deep, dark hypnotist, right? Like he was that guy that was like, bring you to the dark side, you know. And I actually had him. I was having some headaches that I couldn't seem to get rid of, and I asked him. I said, "Man, I watch what you're doing, and I trust that you know, like, could you, you know, will you give it a shot on me? I feel I'm open to it."
Yeah.
And yeah, he put it in terms that I could, when I was under, that I could understand, and it definitely helped. So, but I will say that I'd never had Mr. Gent Monk hypnotized me, and I told him, I said, no, I will never. Just you're gonna there's no way you're not gonna do some shifty shit in my head. And I'm not,
You got hypnotized a couple times, right?
I did. I
Yeah.
went up on stage a couple times, and I was actually digging through some stuff, and I found my old one
Oh,
VHS
that's
tape
right.
and
We
one
did talk
DVD.
about this.
Yeah, the VHS tapes,
Yeah,
baby.
I got a VHS tape when I was on it, and
Man,
then
there are so many of those out there.
My
What
dad
a
heard
business
that episode
enterprise.
and gave me a VHS player so that we could play that tape.
oh shit,
My dad gave me a
He did.
VHS
He came
player.
over. He's like, heard your podcast. You could probably use this, and gave me a VHS player. So
Nice.
it's
I have
awesome.
one.
I used to do the shirts. I went into business with him for a little while, and I said, I'm going to create these shirts for you. I got an idea for Hypno Eye on the back of it. I don't even know where one's at right now. I probably don't even have one. But yeah, I did that for a while, and then, you know, it got a little, as things do with,
Yeah.
you know.
run
and-
their course.
Yeah, they ran their course, and but yeah, what a money making machine those at the VHS tapes, and he brought a whole new aspect to it that hadn't been done before. So I remember I literally chose when you know, we're mapping out everything, and we saw that, okay, here's he's going to do it. He's switching over his persona. He's no longer Gent Monk. He's going to do this. This is what he's going to do, and I'm like, this, you know, right out of the gate, this isn't gonna, you know, it's going to take some time to build up, right?
Sure.
So that happened to be a time in early spring, right after I had finished a semester of college, and I had an opportunity to go to the University of London for a spring session. And I'm like, this is perfect. I'm going to take time off from the club. I'm going to go do this because I don't think it's going to be, you know, a problem. Man, I called back at the first weekend, lines out the door. 30, 40 people waiting in line to get in for a show. It was like, I don't know who he talked to. And, you know, obviously there weren't as many platforms to get your information out there as
Sure.
Yeah.
before. But man, he took off out of the gate. That first 3 weeks, they were just rocking it. So yeah, I felt a little guilty about it. I'm like, man, I misjudged that. So he used to sell these shirts that were like his closer was a top 10 list of top 10 things not to say to a police officer when you get pulled over, because he had been, you know, pulled over a time or 10.
One. Yeah.
So I still have the T-shirt to this day, and I you know, damn, I should have brought it with me, but I definitely got enough stories that we could do a whole nother podcast.
Yeah,
There's
for sure.
We
so
will.
many.
We plan
will.
to.
So many. Yeah, I was there about 8 years, 7.5 years.
Yeah.
My last act when I left, and I left willingly. It wasn't anything, you know. Obviously, I would have been welcome back if I wasn't.
Yeah.
My last thing is I'm going to leave after Cable Guy,
Nice.
and it was just, you know, again, just like the persona changed from Gent Monk to Jay Medicine Head, so did Larry the Cable Guy became a thing, And I don't know if you've ever seen one of his early headshots, but it wasn't at all.
Got one right
Oh,
out
yeah.
there.
Yeah, we got one out there.
Right, it's the one with actually a DeVry.
Yep,
Yep,
it's a
he has the
DeVry
DeVry,
on
And
it.
yep.
a cable around his neck, and his autograph on mine, it says, "Get me laid, Lewis." And he would sit over at Divots with a spiral notebook after the show, and you're thinking, oh, they're going to go party or going to do this. He maybe had one Budweiser, 2 tops, a little bit of food, and he would just sit there and just write. He would just write. He would ask people. He's like, "What do you think of this?" You know, he would just throw it out there because it all started as a bit that he was doing for his buddy, a 7-minute bit that he was trying to fill for his buddy that did radio in Florida.
Right.
And I'd say, "Okay, can you come up with something for me?" He's like, "Yeah, I'll do a call in, once a week," and then it became once
Oh,
every
no
day.
shit. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then it generated.
I didn't
from
know
there.
that's how
Yep.
it's okay.
Yep. So that was the.
I know. I remember hearing him call in to Todd and Tyler or
Yep.
the radio shows around here, but I didn't know that's how it started. That he was doing it for a buddy down
Buddy
in
in
Florida.
Florida,
That's
yeah,
fucking
a
crazy.
radio guy in
That's
Florida.
crazy.
Because he lived down there, Sampson, Florida. I might be wrong, but that's what
That
pops
sounds.
into my
That
head.
sounds right.
Yeah.
And yeah, so he started doing that, and so it slowly became integrated into his act. So it started out,
Gotcha.
so then it became a 7-minute bit in his act, and then it became a 15-minute bit in his act. And then pretty soon it was his act,
Right.
and it wasn't Dan Whitney anymore. The
Right,
transition had taken
right.
place from Dan Whitney to Larry the
Larry
Cable
the
Guy.
Cable Guy.
And
Yep.
so, like, when we went and visited one time to his ranch, and my son, Jade, was, he must have been maybe 7, 8 years old. And he's like, "Dad, I'm just trying to figure out what do I call him? Is it Mater? Or is it,
yeah,
but is it Larry?
that's a good question.
Or is it Dan? Or like, what do I say to him? Like, who is it? Like, what's he going to look? Are we, he's like, is there going to be a tow truck there? Like, he was completely, it was awesome. I was like, you're right. I would just go with Dan. Say hi, Dan. But watching that progression, watching how each of them,
I bet that was really.
But
I
that's
bet that was
super
it's
cool.
interesting. Yeah.
Especially seeing him, where Dan was at this peak and where he's at now, and then
you're
watching
the morphosis
Yes.
of something that is, for lack of I don't know. I think it's a little bit of comedy genius.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
no,
mean, he really
absolutely.
said it.
No,
It stuck.
absolutely.
And he found some great friends in Jeff Foxworthy. I've only got to meet him once. He was already, pretty top of his game.
He was,
Right.
yes.
Even back then. So I got to meet him when he had flown in and done a show, and Colleen and I went down to meet him, and I was Ron, and everybody was kind of there.
Nice.
So that was kind of the morphosis of that coming together. And one door opens, another door opens, another door, and watching the people that, and all the ridiculousness aside with Medicine Hat, he took it, he realized that he had something, and he ran with it.
Yeah.
Did you ever get to work with Ralphie May?
I did once.
Yeah. Fantastic guy.
Yeah.
He was awesome.
I didn't get to interact like I have with other comics. Take him up to the comedians. That was probably right. I believe that was that might have been right after I had left. I was still dipping my toe back, a little bit. And Colleen was smart, and she's like, you're gonna be okay. Like, keep moving in the direction you're going. Because I was looking at going and opening another club, and it actually made plans to move to Cleveland. To
really?
do my tutelage under Mitch, the club owner.
Right.
So I had taken an opportunity that he had, that he purchased a car as a surprise for his wife, and he said, "All right, well, drive the car out to me." He bought it here because he could get it cheaper here. So there I am,
That's a Mitch thing to do.
Yeah,
right, brand new Lexus, and it's like, oh, was this like, was this like $432 less expensive? All right, whatever. Hey, man, you've achieved a level of success. Like, who am I to say? Good for you.
Yeah.
So at that time, I had a ponytail. Like, let's remember, gentlemen, before you talk shit, it was the 90s. It was the 90s, the decade of the 90s. You can call it a mullet all you want, but the party was everywhere. But yet, did I have a sport coat on? Did I have a trench coat on with it pulled back in my best, as Cable Guy put it, he came up to the stage for my last show, and he's like, I started the show, and he kind of gives a little tribute to me, and he says, Lewis, it's time. who else? Who else? It's just you and oh geez, wait. Oh my God, I can't remember the guy. Karate.
Steven Seagal?
Thank you.
Ralph Macchio.
Ralph Macchio has a
No,
ponytail.
wrong one.
Steven Seagal. He's like,
Steven
it's just
Seagal does
you
have
and
a-
Steven Seagal. You gotta let it go. You gotta let the ponytail go. You're the only two left that are still doing it.
Sean had a ponytail like 5 years ago.
Yeah, I was to one during the pandemic. I didn't get my haircut for a year and like 18. It was full 18 months. I've only had 2 haircuts since February of whenever. I don't know. Time's up. It's a time warp.
See, your hair's looking nice for only
Thank
2.
you. Yeah, thank you. That's not, yeah. Well, I just had the second haircut.
You know, I did see you.
I tried to rock it out for a while. My son was like,
yes.
Dad, no.
Yeah, I
Dad,
was gonna
stop,
say.
Dad, no, Dad, stop.
I saw you about 4 or 5 months ago. And
I'm a baseball dad, and I keep score for my kid's crew, and he plays high school ball, and his buddies were like, Dad looks like a hobo. I'm like, all right. So,
I guess it's time to cut it.
Well, it's true.
right. There's times. Man, who I don't know. There's Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx. I got lucky when like you said, the comedy lull was not on. It was full on. Like
Right.
we were booking,
right.
It's huge.
we were booking big acts. Victoria Jackson is a great one. Taking people out to like if it was an urban act, then I grew up there. I had friends that owned bars
Sure.
there, so I'd be like, let's go. But hey, just so we're clear, like when I say it's time to go, or when you say it's time to go, it's always time to go, right?
Right.
Right.
But if I say it's time to go, like you got to be all right with that. Are we all right with that? Are we clear? I would always try to make it clear. Great Bobcat, man. Talk about a guy, like you're saying, you don't know what the person's going to be like. And then like this guy seems like an asshole,
Yep.
Is
Yep.
he? And then he turns out to be fantastic and
Greatest
so easy
dude
to deal
ever.
with.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
One of the greatest dudes ever.
But yeah, Bobcat is such.
I
such
saw
a,
him at the club on 114th. He was one of, I think I saw
Uh-oh.
Michael Winslow there also, but Bobcat was one that I
Hey,
saw.
he's a gem. Oh,
And I think Bobcat.
Never mind.
Yeah.
oh, wrong. Dyslexified.
I feel like
Dyslexified.
most of his sound effects were like windows rolling up.
It was.
talking
Hey,
crap on
you
him,
think
I'm
that's
just
good? Check out Gallagher's brother. That's another.
No,
one.
I'm
gonna smash some shit.
Colleen's told us about him. Yeah.
yeah, Bobcat is he's super nice.
Oh, he's the
Hands
mean-
down, one of the top 5 people that I.
Yeah,
one of the most intelligent human beings that I've met in my life.
Very
for
cerebral.
Sure.
Very cerebral.
And like I said, when I saw him at the old club, I was younger, wasn't super into comedy like I am now. He did his set, which was great, but the whole entire time he stared at the corner in the back of the room. So I'm not sure if he could have been on, some kind of medication,
Mind-altering
or something.
substance?
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this: like you would remember because it stood out so much
It did.
that if this is the show you're speaking of, did he have his hair cut?
Yes.
So, and was it blonde?
I don't remember the color of it, but it was cut. And at the time, he was definitely dating Nikki Cox because I saw her like behind the bars in some back room as I was entering the club. I do have that in my memory.
She's pleasant on the eyes.
Yes, she is.
Yes,
and
she
that's why I
is.
remembered her.
So that would be that was the first time that he came to town was that. So, life plays out as it does.
It does.
And when he came back, it was literally the first show he had done outside of Cali post breakup.
Oh, okay.
And you always wonder what the persona, right? You got,
Right.
am I going to get, for instance, am I going to get Pauly Shore as Pauly, like just doing his thing, or am I going to get the Wheeze? Right, because that wasn't his first time there. It was
Right.
It wasn't that far from the Wheeze days.
Mhm.
And when you get Bobcat, is everybody going to expect that you're going to get Police Academy?
Right.
And he threw a little bit. He did some of
Yes,
that the
he
first
sure
time.
did.
He knows where the rent's paid. But when he came that time, he was, I don't think I'm speaking out of turn to say he was damaged goods.
Yeah.
For
He was
sure.
damaged goods when he came after the breakup with Nikki.
That makes sense.
He had shaved his head completely,
Oh, wow.
down to not completely, but he had taken off the long hair, and he had dyed it blonde. So picture the guy that you're used to seeing.
Right,
It's
right,
all
right.
blonde hair.
Right.
That's maybe an inch high
Buzz
all the way
cut.
around, buzz cut.
The 3 times that I've worked with him, 2 of them he was here premiering movies.
Right.
So
Yep.
God Bless America,
Yep.
and then that one about the Bigfoot.
Oh yeah, no, that one's great.
Yeah.
That one's great.
and then the 3rd time he did come in and just do stand up, and gosh, his stand up, his whole routine about being on a plane, and it's the Special Olympics team in the back of the plane, and they're making emergency landing, and they're talking about a fire truck that's going to be waiting for them at the end of the runway. And somebody from the Special Olympics team just stands up and goes, "Fire truck!" it's the best. I can't do it justice, but it's just hilarious.
He's and that's what happens. That's the beauty of this club. And I'm not out of turn bringing this back around to a reason that comics feel comfortable coming to a club in the middle of, let's be honest,
Cornfield?
Right.
Flyer state, right?
Right,
Isn't
a
that what they
flyover
call
state.
it? Yeah.
How many times I would pick up a comic that had never been here before, and they would be astounded. They're like, "Wow, this is nothing like I thought it would be. It's so clean. It's so much cleaner. It's so much greener. It's everybody's really nice here. It's almost off-putting to them that everybody's so nice." And I would, I'd do my spiel. I give my 5, I do my Sawbuck tour of here's what Omaha offers, here's what it is, here's what it's not. We have our problems, and here's what they generally are, and here's I give them the lowdown, and it's but there's a reason that they come back here and they feel comfortable here and they try out new material here, and it has so much to do with the people that are in our metropolitan area in our state, just the Midwestern, what we have, what we are, what we
Yeah,
were
right.
brought up on.
Yep.
And if it can fly, if the what they throw out flies in a flyover state, right? It'll fly anywhere.
Yep.
Because if you make people laugh deep inside themselves here, like that transcends. That transcends, usually you see things that are trendy or things that are happening. They start at the borders. They start at, Cali or New York or Florida or Texas, and they work their way, and pretty soon that trend, that vibe, that whoever's hot gets here maybe a year later,
Yep.
then it becomes like a thing here. Well, if it's solid here and it works its way that way, man, you're good.
Oh,
You know
for
you're
sure.
good. So they always love to try it out here, and you guys see it. You guys see they still come back.
Yeah. Well, at the end of the year, we have Bob Saget on the calendar,
There you go.
and he's been here one time before. And I've always asked Colleen over the years, when are we going to get him back? Are we getting him back? And she's like, well, we don't have a direct flight from LA,
Yep.
and we don't have a 5-star hotel. So those were always his stipulations. And we had on the calendar, we had Lewis Black coming back. That's why we get all these names.
What a great
coming
guy.
back.
Man,
Such
he's
a
so
nice guy.
solid. I was helping at people call it Club Nico, but it was the real name. It was just Nico, and still to this day is the nicest, without a doubt, the sharpest and most well-crafted nightclub that maybe Omaha's ever seen. And that means no disrespect to places like the Max, who's been doing it for
Right.
eons and continues to. But their setup was made for
I had never
Big.
been there, but
and I'll quote what so Britney Spears came in to do 2 shows here in Omaha, and her advance team came in and said, we need someplace to go to allow them to go. And this was
And those guys don't fuck around.
So she
Like if you've been living under a rock.
the largest, could be the largest, scariest individual I've ever like visually seen was her bodyguard, her main guy, her point man was a guy named Mo. And this gentleman was, you walk in the, it was intimidating.
Yeah,
But could not have been a nicer person.
sure.
And, he understood the scenario he was in. So he comes in, he said, we're looking for a place to take not just Brittany, but all of her dancers.
Yeah.
Like, it was a big production.
Whole entourage.
Where we can find a place where we can enjoy ourselves without the masses and the issues and everything that's going on with her right now. Now, mind you, this was right after she had the Red Bull and vodka induced marriage. Short-lived marriage. High school sweetheart, right? Was that what it was? Man, I'm sure he still is having aftershocks from that. I bet that was a hella weekend. But, it played out as it should, and her people that control her as if, it's not it's news right now.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Like yesterday.
Yes.
So, there's a large amount of people that she keeps the money train rolling for a lot of people. So they want to protect that, right? So her label people and everybody. So the advanced team comes out. They say this place, probably the best compliment the club's ever been given. This place could fall out of the sky in any metropolitan area and be one of the hottest clubs.
Nico.
Yeah.
Really?
And I've never been there, but I've heard
the gentleman that
like I've been there.
The gentleman that owned it and started it was a real estate legend in this town, Ralph Marasco.
Oh, sure.
Right?
Yep.
And was one of the first gentlemen that passed in this pandemic.
Oh, this is true. Yes.
Right?
You are correct. Yes.
Oh, really?
Yep.
And
It was
shout
it
out
was a
and
big
mad
news,
props to Ralph Marasco.
Yeah.
He could be harsh and mean and say things to you. You're like, whoa. But I learned so much from him. I was both. He allowed me. I was his representative and then became like, all right, I'm gonna, the craziness that comes from opening something like that and the pressure
Right.
and he had everything like down. He didn't understand that people are gonna like not give two shits about your carpet or your anything. They're just gonna damage your club out of just the fact they're loaded and it's a club. It's like there's a lot of people just getting crazy in there, and so it was disruptive. It was hurtful to him, and I understand that. And so I said, hey, I'll bartend for you too. So I came in and started becoming a part of that scene, and that's a whole nother chapter that's got a podcast that goes with it. But basically, Britney Spears coming in there, and it was crazy. I got a call out of nowhere from a guy from Chicago with Us Weekly that wanted me to allow him access to get pictures, and I'm like, why? How did you get my number? Just crazy stuff like that. Where you're like,
That's crazy.
No shit.
and
Like he wanted you to like let him in so that he could.
The GM of the place, we worked at the Playboy Club together, right? Name is Sammy Scarpello, legend. He's been around forever. Well, he was the GM of Guitars and Cadillacs, right? Which is just up the street beforehand.
Yep.
Guitars and Cadillacs closes, he goes there, and he said, I want you to be the person that works and takes care of these people because you're used to it. You're not gonna be an idiot. You're not gonna like get googly. You're just gonna take care of things and make sure that it's right because that's what you've done with the Funny Bone.
Yep.
Great. So she comes in and it was insane. But let's go back to Lewis Black because that's we could save the Britney story for she was very nice though. I wasn't allowed to. I had to make sure, and Red Bull wanted me to get a picture with her with a Red Bull in front of her. It was crazy. She had to have a certain color of glasses so that they couldn't see like basically
what she's drinking.
Right, exactly. Yep. So
Makes sense.
With Lewis, I got a call from Colleen. And she's like, "Hey, Lewis Black's in town." I'm like, "Awesome, yeah. I heard he's in town." She's like, he wants some place to go where it's like happening, but he can feel comfortable." Great, come on down. We had a red room and a black room that were in the back. That one had a pool table in it. The other one was just a lot of couches and kind of things that were just lockable rooms that were private, that you could still kind of look out, two-way glass, so you could see out onto the dance floor. So yeah, I brought him down and hooked him up in the Red Room, got him pool table, and Lewis had a nice time that night. Lewis
awesome.
had an enjoyable evening, and he's he gave me a poster of a 4th of July thing that he did in another city, and he wrote on it. He said, "From Lewis to Lewis, kind of a pussy way to spell your name." Because his is L-E-W and mine's L-O-U. I was like, that's pretty good to say.
So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So if there's one comic that you could, see up here again, dead, alive, that you've seen before, who would you want
Dead
to
or-
come back?
dead or alive?
Yeah.
That's been at the Funny Bone.
Yeah. That you've seen before.
Hey, buddy. Well, let me think about that while we open a little of...
Sure. Why don't you go ahead and you wanna talk about that?
Yeah, Soldier Valley. Man, Patriarch Distillers, a friend of mine, been in the business forever, and man, just took the ballsy step to say, this is my dream, this is what I want to do. I'm all in. And his whole family is behind it. That's where the Patriarch comes from. His grandfather was a paratrooper in World War II. He was a paratrooper. His son currently is in the Air Force. Like this is
crazy.
not some bullshit thing. He's recently partnered with Lee Greenwood.
Okay.
So now they have a Lee Greenwood Signature Spirits that's out, and it's doing fantastic. I just got back from Sturgis doing some work for him, and man, he's on a roll, and I couldn't be happier for him. He took his dream and he said, I'm all in and going to do this. So yeah, we're sharing this, and actually this drink is still on the menu here, and I'm fortunate enough to have made a few drinks for him that were signature drinks, and he's trusted me to put his name and his brand out there, and I'm thankful. I'm blessed to call him friend. So yeah, Jeff Haddon, here's to you. Cheers.
Cheers. It's fucking delicious.
Cheers to all the deliciousness in life. Dead or alive, man. There's I feel like it goes, it can't help but go to the ones that have departed a little bit.
Right.
Of course.
Diana Limo.
Okay. So there's
there's
a sign
plaque.
in
There you
the,
go.
in
There's
the
a
green
plaque
room.
in there.
Yeah.
Right?
It says Diana Lamo. If you haven't banged her, then
you
you're a
haven't.
fag.
Be right. So I was always a fag. Like, you're just
It
a
is my
fag
favorite.
anyway.
Yeah,
I'm
mine-
like, what? It's like, we ain't banged.
So, but I mean, that's all I've known of her is the plaque in the stories.
Yep. Man, who? You know what I got to say. It's like asking me what my favorite song is.
Oh, sure. I know it's a loaded question.
Here's how I would piece that answer together. I would do a mixtape.
Here,
I
what
would
will
take-
make Don happy? Your top 5, your list.
I would take
there you go.
I would take like an interwoven like playlist, so to speak, of bits. Like
Yeah.
That's
okay,
that's
so
interesting.
at the old club, right? So if you're the bartender or if you're behind the bar, there's a curtain, right? So like I said, I could move that curtain to the side and I could see exactly the stage. So no matter how many times you've seen somebody, no matter how many times but shit you had to put up with their everything,
Mm-hmm.
there are people that you couldn't deny, like, oh wait, I've seen this bit 42 times, but I want to see
I
it
gotta
40.
see it again.
Sure. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I would be like, hey, Terry, Cindy, pull the curtain to the side. Can you pull the curtain to the side right now? They would do it. And because, half this, some of the servers, everybody,
Oh yeah.
that was, it wasn't just a me thing, it was everybody thing. And even other comics would come in. And so, man, I would interweave it with, man, that's a Russia stuff. I should have thought that one
Yeah,
through.
I
I
know.
should have
Well,
expected
and
that
I did
question.
pull that one on you, but just thinking about all the comics that you've seen and how
Honestly,
other comics I've seen,
there's
who you
ending-
want to see back.
I would love to. Okay, who I would like to be able to sit right now and watch.
Sure.
Right. I think of David Strassman, as infuriating as he was to deal with him, and imagine trying to make as so I was myself and another doorman, Pat Butler. We we were assigned the task of, we were music nerds, and so but he had everything on cassette tapes. So imagine trying to trying to like figure out exactly, you rewind it with your finger, or if, like put
A pencil.
number 2 pencils everywhere.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And trying, hey, hello.
Who are we talking about? That
Right? I think that tells me, do we have a countdown clock here? Is there a time limit? I'm probably at the time limit, aren't
we're
but
at
that's
about
a good-
we're about an hour 40 right now.
I?
So
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Wow. All right. My apologies.
No.
No. You okay over there, Grandpa?
Yeah.
Wow.
Next question
Way
for you,
past your
Sean.
bedtime. Way past your
We're gonna
bedtime.
pass him.
I'm just ramping up. I love them. Yeah. Where are we going after this?
Home.
I'm your Huckleberry.
That a kid. Let's go eat some Keno tickets, dog. I want to see somebody taking snaps on the ball.
Keno's open tonight.
Go on.
Head of the Big Red.
I would say, man, just odd stuff. The stuff that like when everybody kind of laughs at a joke, but like all the comics and some of the staff are sitting in the back dying.
Oh yeah.
'Cause you
Oh,
love
yeah.
that
That's
stuff.
the funny shit.
That's my favorite.
Loved I love Mark Gross. I love.
Yep.
I would have some pieces of his act. I was a huge fan of Malone and New Cheese. Man, DC Malone. He parties on a scale right in that Ron White universe, right? He gets after it. And he's really into music, so they would come into town, and they had a musical close that I still listen to the song, and I will throw it out to anybody and everybody to check out this song. It's called Geronimo's Cadillac, and man, I'm so blessed to have made friends with DC. He's still out in Oregon, still making music, doing his thing. He and Hampton New Cheese was his partner. And he was a flautist. What's the one I saying that right? Played the flute. And DC, it was just the perfect making. Like small little Jewish guy playing the flute with, and then this giant, massive guy that was beard and take a chance and look it up. I mean, I'm telling you, it's a Michael Martin Murphey song that they redid.
Okay.
And it's a story of Geronimo's Cadillac when they took Geronimo's land, wouldn't give it back, right? But instead they gave him a Cadillac as a sign of like.
You're speaking my language big time right now. I love history things like this. This
It's
is very
amazing.
interesting to me.
And
yeah.
so they gave him a Cadillac, and as like that was like his thing. But the aha moment was that here is this picture of Geronimo that exists sitting proudly right in this Cadillac with no engine in it.
No
because
shit.
they won't allow him to leave the reservation.
Oh.
And it's
Wow.
like I've used that analogy in things that I've done in my life since then, and it's wow. And it was such
Wow.
an impactful song. It would leave the audience just like floored, like everybody was just like, ooh. And so they do. So I'd love to finish it out with that. Chris Bliss, the boss of the Balls, opened for Michael Jackson on his Bad tour. Could juggle, and he would do it. Like Neon would do the strobe lights.
You did that at the Bone?
Yes, do it on stage, and he would do it to the Beatles' Golden Slumbers.
No shit.
It was
Davis is the boss of the balls. As well.
I don't know. Chris Bliss may have given it up. He's not as fast with his hands, and he would
Not as
miss a
nimble.
ball sometimes. I mean, it wasn't perfect, but it was just like you had to be like, "Hey, turn it back. I want to watch this." Man, the list goes. Super Energy, BT.
Oh, love BT. He hasn't been here for a while.
Oh, he hasn't been here forever.
My dad was a massive fan of Uncle Lair. I
I
love
love
Uncle
Uncle Lair
Lair.
too.
Uncle Lair. Your wife's dead. I fucked her. What did you say? And he'd say that sometimes to people that were like, "No, I'm serious," and he'd be like, "You just pile on." And I'm like, "Damn, dude, no mercy."
Listen to your Uncle Lair.
Right? You may tip from your. He's still out there.
Yes, he came here last
Rocky
year, I feel like.
Laporte. Love Rock. Hey, my uncle's got a popsicle stand. It's called Lick This. Then I got this other uncle. He's got a vacuum cleaning shop. It's called no, it's called Vinny's Vacuum Shop. What do you think? Man, here's a guy I love. Dak Rakow.
I haven't heard of
Used
him.
to on stage play butt darts, which is basically butt quarters, where he clinch up his butt cheeks, put a quarter in between his butt cheeks, and make it into a glass. And he could do it, and it was like fucking phenomenal. I'm like, oh. I had the pleasure to go and help open the Sioux City or the Sioux Falls Funny Bone. There was a Sioux Falls Funny Bone that opened up, and that was the so I got up there. It is like the corporate guy that came up and said, "Okay, this is how it's done. This, that, and the other." And Dak was our first, our inaugural. He broke the comedy chair. He snapped the hymen on the old Sioux Falls, and I still drive by sometimes when I go to venture up to Sioux Falls, and I'm like, "Yeah, that was good. So I was up there for like a month, getting everything set, and butt darts. I can't help but say, some Hat and some Whitney, some, and that was a privilege, really, and to be able to watch the metamorphoses of specifically those two, and really, like Ron White, Bill Engvall. I got some great Bill Engvall stories, but yeah, I know we're
we'll save those for next time for sure.
Totally understandable. So
when you say Whitney, are you talking Whitney Cummings?
Exactly.
Okay.
Who?
Oh, Dan Whitney. Gotcha.
Jamie Foxx was solid. Man, it's just a plethora.
Well, I've been here the least amount of years out of everyone here, and
Baby.
I think it, like you're saying, it would be cool because Dan, Cable Guy, and watching those guys come through because they were localized guys,
right?
Where I've seen it like when I first started working here. Tom Segura came through, and he wasn't doing stadiums. Now he is. Pandemic happened, so we got to have him again, and it was cool to see him come here where it was full every night. He was a bigger celebrity. But it's a little bit different than how you saw it, where it's more those guys are there every night or a couple nights a week.
Or if I'm with them, in the morning, and I'm with them at night.
Exactly.
And I'm taking them around. So we're talking about life. We're not just sitting silent.
Right.
They're getting to know me, and I'm getting to know them. I'm, like, hey, man, I'm trying to get up at 6 a.m. to come get you. And I went to work at a bar like after I finished working, and so it's 2:00. I'm getting up 4 hours later, and when I left the Funny Bone, I was fortunate enough to have at one of the places I worked an incredible photographer, and he super nice guy, and I said, hey, I have this idea. I understand that I'm in a chapter of my life that's it's not always going to be here. Things change, life changes, and I'm about to decide to make these changes. And I already knew, like, okay, October is when I'm going to call it good. By the way, Dan Whitney, Larry the Cable Guy, thanks for hooking me up with that limo blowjob that last night. That was awesome. To this day, I'm like, oh, yeah, awesome. Limo in McKenna's parking lot. Yeah. We're going to go ahead and call it a night, Lewis. You just go ahead and stay in there. Stay in here with, All right, so thank you. I got lost right there in the visual. The train track went right off.
We could tell you were reliving that moment.
I was like, whoa. I remember the limo was like a blue limo. Who's got a blue limo instead of a black limo? See,
That's a great question.
Right, it's the little things that stand out. Where did that train go? Where was I at there? All right, good game. Fortunate enough to have these opportunities and to see people like Mark Gross, right?
Right.
Where he, it's not always in front of the camera that they transfer to, and a lot of people that went on to be writers. but local, and you get to see them. And so spending that time with them and getting to really know them, you know, not, but enough, you know, that you get a sense.
Right.
Man, Kozak, magician. You know, we had a lot of magicians, and you're like, oh, this is, you know, at first you're like, this is kind of hokey, but you see like a Kozak or a Matt King, and you're like, wow, man, these guys got some talent. Like, where did you hone that? Like, that's the stuff that's crazy to me. Like, okay, tell me how you got to, where did this all come from? Where did you hone your talent? What, you know, guys telling me road stories of just watching themselves on videotape and critiquing themselves as they're driving cross country on the Kansas Turnpike. And you're like, wow, that's got to be brutal, you know, sometimes. But
Right.
they're learning their craft and their art. That's a brave choice.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of relationships don't last through that, and they're going through a lot to be out there and give it all on the road. And I applaud that. And that's ballsy. And
Absolutely.
you're following your dream. You think you got it, you got a thing, man. Go get that shit. Go get that shit. That's awesome. And I think it's great that you guys are taking an opportunity to say, hey, here's this collective experience that we've had being exposed to this, right? And seeing a side that few other people see.
Right.
And
Exactly.
and that you're bringing this to people, and you know, the good, the bad, it's, you know, it's however you want to take it. It's good. It just is. It is what it is. And there's 1,000 stories that 1,000 doormen and bar backs and bartenders and servers have, but you're the ones bringing it to people.
Yep.
You're the ones making it real. You're the ones saying, hey, you want to see behind the scenes? You want to see behind the curtain?
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of what happens.
This is what happens here. This
Right.
is what we're doing. This is what you don't know about.
So, well, you know, they think they know about.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe they do. Maybe they don't.
Yeah.
There's
You
a
know,
lot that goes into this
Maybe the girl that
little place around here to make
to make
make
it all
this
happen.
go
To make the magic happen.
Yep.
We're all on stage, baby.
That's right.
We are. No, right? Geddy Lee, world's a stage. All right. I want to thank you for having me on. I have. Yeah.
Listen, we've been trying to run you down for a minute. We want to thank you.
Yeah.
And we definitely want to have you on again because we know you're just full of stories.
I just scraped the iceberg.
I know-
We haven't
I know
talked
you
about
did.
Pauly
I know you
Shore's
did.
tour bus. We haven't talked about Bobcat the night after Colleen's like, hey, he doesn't need to go back to a hotel by himself right now. Will you please take him? And he wasn't drinking. He had stopped drinking everything but coffee. But, man, that cat could put down some coffee. And I have a hilarious strip club story.
So next show is at 1:30. I'm just,
Tonight?
no, I'm
perfect for
in the
that.
He'll be ready.
You better call your wife, brother. You better call your wife. Tell her, I went out with Lewis tonight. And she's going to fucking Lewis.
Well, didn't we say that earlier?
Fucking Lewis.
You were that friend?
Everybody's girlfriend,
she
everybody's
did
wife.
say that when I introduced you. She's like, oh, fucking Lewis.
As well she should have.
Your legend precedes you.
Hey, I don't lead them down the road. I just show them where it's at.
There you go.
They can follow me or they can go home. Whatever. It don't matter. You know, I'm good with you. I love you either way.
Well, again, we can't thank you enough, Lewis. This has been great hearing all these old stories in the clubs and hearing the interesting thing about you. And, you know, because you were here when I started and you've been around in and out. And, you know, I didn't know all those things about you. So there's some very cool things.
Yeah, next time I'll definitely have to. We'll touch on the story of Medicine Hat being here and me transitioning after my faux pas with a little too much Jameson, and Colleen was beautiful enough to say, "Hey, why don't you get a soft landing here and get your feet back under you?"
Yeah.
And there was a moment of distinct clarity that is definable on every level that happened during a Medicine Hat show here.
Nice.
Also, the Bobcat Strip Club story that we can touch on, and you know a lot more. Jamie Foxx and so gracious and so nice, and plays a hell of, like for a short cat that cat can ball. He played some piano and some basketball in the same day. I was like, damn. Just walked up to a piano at Sweet 98 and was like, and I was like, whoa. Had no idea that he had that talent. yeah, and many more. So
Nice.
we'll close off with that. I know it's been a long night for both of you. Thank you, brother, for staying around. Please tell your wife I appreciate her. If you know what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah. I'll go home and appreciate her for you.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I'm talking about. You ain't that tired, dog. You can be like, I put my footy pajamas on. And, all right, thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate
Thanks, Lewis.
it.
Thanks for
thanks for
listening,
being here,
everybody.
Lewis.
Make sure you like and subscribe. Follow us on all the
Exactly.
socials. YouTube, we're out video now.
Yep.
Make sure you
Views up in this month.
email
That's
us, doorguyspod@yahoo.com. We can read your name on the next episode.
Yeah,
could.
send us some emails. Send me some questions. What do you want to know? Like, what do you want to know about comics maybe that you've seen? And maybe I have had no experience with anybody that any of you send anything about. But I guarantee you, the 3 cats that I'm sitting with right now probably have. And so somebody's going to be able to address your question. What have you wanted to know? And maybe we know it, maybe we don't. And maybe your questions are ridiculous. And if so, I love you all the more.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.